You are listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to 21 Questions. I am Craig Stout. With me is my good pal, Maddie Lane. We are here to answer your questions cold from the KCSN Discord. If you are not a member of the KCSN Discord and you're listening to this, go to kcsn.substack.com, sign up for KCSN Daily. It is $30 a year or $5 a month. Obviously, the yearly rate, way better deal for you. You're going to get film breakdowns. You're going to get all sorts of stuff during the season that you don't get if you don't pay. And one of those things is the KCSN Discord. It is an awesome place to hang out, share opinions about the Chiefs and lots of other things, and get to ask questions for this. Maddie, my friend, how excited are you to answer the people's questions on this fine evening?
First of all, if you're listening to this and you're, not a member of the Discord, you got to fix that. You have to go in there. You get that subscription going to KCSN, even if it's just for the Discord. It's 100% worth it. Next, I'm excited. I like 21 questions. Some week it's hit or miss. I like it when you guys ask non-football questions. So hopefully we have a grab bag of non-football questions. We'll happily answer football ones too, of course. But I like having the off-the-wall questions. So I hope we have a grip of those, Craig.
Yes, we do. But we're going to start with the football one from our pal No Chicken tonight. Looking back in a year, who's the better pickup from the Giants? Highly explosive Kadarius Toney, who may not get to play a ton because of injuries, or highly reliable Richie James? Maddie, I'll just let you take this away.
Well, how reliable is Richie James? Because it's kind of been one season of reliability. And even
analytics love him, man. Yeah.
Even then, the sample size was really low. The yards per reception were pretty low. The usage was very specific. So I don't know if I'm ready to call Richie James highly reliable. I think it was an offensive system that did a lot of good play action stuff, got a lot of stuff on the move, and whoever was playing in the slot running a shallow cross was going to get a lot of targets. And that was Richie James for them. So we'll see what he relates to. So I will say Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney has already played a part in winning the Super Bowl. So it's going to be a little hard for Richie James to jump over that. I'll just play the safe route and go with Kadarius Toney's upside, and then the fact that he's kind of already mattered a little bit.
Yeah, it's Kadarius for me as well. Even the stuff that we saw in a limited sample size on the field is more than I'm expecting for Richie James year one. Now, punt returns and things like that, Richie James could end up being more than just like a role filler at wide receiver. I can see how he could make more of an impact than maybe we're projecting as a special teamer. But realistically, I think Kadarius Toney continues to grow in his role in the Kansas City Chiefs offense, and that's going to be really hard for Richie James to keep up with. So it's Kadarius Toney for me. Mike Denny asks, who is more likely to be on the roster week one, Melvin Ingram or Carlos Dunlap? I'm going Dunlap. The length checks all the boxes for, Steve Spagnuolo. Melvin Ingram was an impactful player for this defense, is definitely a guy that could show up, still contribute in the defensive end room, but I don't see Melvin Ingram as the guy that they feel like maybe they need, whereas I can see a guy like Carlos Dunlap that plays the run exceptionally well, is going to be a big veteran presence that has largely stuck around on teams. I know he's been moved around a little bit, but is going to offer that veteran presence to advance the rookies along a little bit more. Carlos Dunlap makes more sense with the types of guys that they have for me. So I'm going to go with him. And besides, Joe Cullen loved Carlos. So give me Carlos.
I think it's Dunlap pretty clearly. It's here more recently. I think he is a better stylistic fit for what Steve Spagnuolo's done. I guess you could maybe make a case that, that they could be shifting a little bit, and Ingram maybe makes some more sense for what they might be transitioning to, but I don't know if I'm ready to go that far. I think Colin liked Dunlap. I think Spags liked Dunlap. He makes the most sense just being here last year.
Christian G, that's our guy, Christian Gumminger. This one's a good one. What advice would you give Kent and Tucker on the beer cart? For those, the uninitiated here, last year's KCSN golf tournament, which was a rousing success, and this year's is setting up to be even better. The beer cart was driven by the two individuals on this podcast right here.
It's true.
I mean, it's gonna. I mean, we've already kind of joked with Kent that it's gonna be big shoes for him to fill, literally, because he's got smaller feet than both Maddie and I. And Tucker, buddy, he is what he is. So
Tucker can't reach the steering wheel, so they can't rotate drivers.
Driving. Yeah, you know what?
I've seen Kent drive a go-kart type item.
I know.
Ooh,
I have as well. It's still probably a good idea based on the number of people that are going to try and buy seltzers and beers for Tucker throughout the day. Being individuals that drove the beer cart, the number of beers that were bought for us last year, Maddie, it was a lot. Yeah. And we're not even we're not even known as the guys that are like going to sit down and chug beers and do that. Maddie did. Maddie shotgunned a beer.
Coaxed into it. Craig may have had to be the de facto driver for us. I mean, like, yeah, here's the advice for you. It's a fun time. Have fun with it. You don't got to be a stickler. Everybody there is a very, very nice person. Talk to them, spend some time with them. If they want a beer, get a beer. If they offer to buy you one, never say no. Always say yes. Have a good time with it. Maybe late at the end, Tucker gets up there and takes a hack at a golf ball with a club like Craig. Maybe Kent's getting stretched out there at the exit like I was last year. Who knows what's going to happen, but have a good time with it. Just have fun. The people will respect it.
And make sure, this is real advice here, not that Tucker will listen. Move on quick early going there. I think it took Maddie and I a little while to kind of get in the hang of we're helping put on this golf tournament. And so we wanted to kind of sit and just be like, hey, how's it going, everybody? And you run into Charkandrick West, you want to sit and talk to the guy for a little while. Like, he's a very engaging individual to interact with. So I know that at least the first time around, we were a little bit slower. We were being a little bit more like, hey, how's everybody going?
It took us a while to get back to people, and they were looking for us. Go backwards. Don't go 1 to 18. Go 18 to 1. That's the move.
Yeah.
That's the move.
Yeah. And I think we all figured that out last year. Christian's on top of that. He knows. So, but yeah, that's the real advice right there. Let's see here. Derek in the Mountain says, need to know what Craig's favorite thing about Colorado is so far. Everything other than the fact that I have to listen to Broncos talk all the time, but they're not optimistic, so it's kind of sweet right now. Joel Pinfield says, what type of play will Sky, Rashee Rice, and Tony score their first touchdowns of the season? Okay, Maddie, you pick who you want to talk about. I'll pick who I want to talk about, then we'll circle back to the third one.
Okay. Sky Moore is definitely catching his first touchdown on a crossing route that he catches at like the 12-yard line and ends up running in. Not necessarily a broken tackle, but like breaking the angle or breaking like a leg tackle on this crossing route as he comes across on, I don't even want to say mesh. It might even be a deeper cross. It might be one of their deep cross concepts, but it's just, he's going to catch it on some kind of crossing play across the middle of the field, catch and run in from about the 12.
In breaking intermediate route for Sky Moore. That's what you're calling.
It might even be shallow. Honestly, it might be shallow. It's short. It's going to be short to intermediate. It could be like mesh, and he just squeaks across. He's catching the ball at the 12 though, and he's running it in afterwards. That's all I got.
Kadarius Toney's catching it on like a pivot route in the red zone again.
Okay.
Like just yeah. I thought about screen, but it's happening on like a pivot route or something like that. He's going to be coming back towards the line of scrimmage. Kick back out. It's going to be easy for him. Like, it's going to be one of those that he's going to be wide open and catch, kind of like Corn Dog, but not exactly like Corn Dog. It's going to be something like that. What do we think for Rashee Rice? Like, I feel like we left the easy one there. Like, contested catch. Like, it's going to be like a fade from the 5 or something like that for me. What do you think?
Screenplay. I think they hit him with the screen and he actively breaks a tackle or two and scores.
Yeah,
or
okay.
It's one of those like 2-yard line plays where the Chiefs run that like weird screen where he like gets going like at the snap kind of thing. Like I think it's going to be a screen play. He's getting the ball behind the line of scrimmage and he's going to have to make a run. I don't think it'll be the 1-yard variety because like why would he be out there? I think they hit him with the screen play and that's what he scores on.
Like the Josh Gordon play a little bit. Is that what you're thinking? Yeah.
So, like, here's the thing. Okay, I still think there's a chance the Chiefs get DeAndre Hopkins, and if they get DeAndre Hopkins, I don't know if Rashee Rice gets a touchdown, right? If they don't get DeAndre Hopkins, though, and especially considering, Kadarius Toney's injury history, someone has to be the guy getting some of these creative yard things, and Rashee Rice is not the same level of dynamic athlete, but he runs with the football in his hands really well. So you start seeing some of these little RPOs, bubble screens, or you start calling up actual screenplays. He's a guy I could see getting some, and maybe he takes one from the 10-yard line and breaks a tackle and puts it into the end zone.
Yeah, I definitely can. I think he's going to be a red zone threat. I really do. Again, like DeAndre Hopkins changes the math on that a little bit, but if he's not there, like who are the guys like a go up and get it type guy in the red zone? Like they tried that with MVS and Juju last year, and I would argue that Rashee Rice is a better contested catch guy than either one of them. Even now. There's a lot of deficiencies in his game, but he does that really well. So, like, they're trying that with those sorts of guys. Why not try it with the guy that's better at it? I don't know. I could see.
Yeah, a back shoulder. I could definitely see a back shoulder. They've started to throw a couple back shoulders into the end zone, the back pylon. They do a lot to Kelsey from there. So I could see them trying. I could see them trying that with Rice.
Yeah, I can too. All right, Positiva Toasty. I like this one. We're going to throw it to Maddie first here. What's your favorite sport to play and your favorite sport to watch? And he put in parentheses, besides football.
Sure. I mean, like, my definition of sport is you have to have two or more opposing teams that can physically stop the other person from doing what they're trying to do, right? So, sorry guys, golf ain't a sport because I can't physically stop you from doing anything. It's an activity. You're doing an activity. That's fine.
Hang on.
It's an awesome activity.
I've got a new addendum to the beer cart. Actively try and stop people.
I mean, I'm in. Oh man, you give me like a little Nerf gun or something, and I just gonna bop them in the hand as I should. Okay, so anyway, that's how I go with the sport. And for that, I mean, like, it's gonna be basketball to play. I like to play basketball, and then to watch it, playoff basketball. I like, but I'm gonna go with like MMA. Like I do like to watch UFC on the weekends. I watch a lot of the events and stuff. It's something I don't have to pay a ton of attention to if I don't want to. I can just kind of put it on and then stop by and watch a fight as it's happening. So I spend a fair amount of time of watching some mixed martial arts. But yeah, basketball to play, MMA to watch, I think.
I don't have the same restrictions on my definition of sport as Maddie, so I'm going with bowling for my favorite sport to play.
I should also be allowed to physically stop you.
But well, I mean, that's fine. What? Listen, I'll play full contact bowling.
The bumpers are for.
That's it's something that I've done more recently. It's a lot easier. I am an older individual. I don't have the gusto to go out there and sprint around a field for 90 minutes anymore. So bowling is the one that I prefer to play at this point. Plus, it's easy to drink beer during bowling, and it doesn't really affect your game in the same way that other things do. Favorite sports to watch. I grew up playing soccer forever. Been a fan of soccer forever. Massive, Sporting KC Wizards fan. Used to go to their games in Arrowhead when there were, 6,000 of us in the stadium, and it was awesome. It was a really good time. Love watching soccer and F1. And I realized that both of those things are trendy things to watch. I hate it that everybody is on board with these things that I love when I was ridiculed for liking them for so damn long. And now everybody's like, yeah, those are the things I love to watch. I'm like, well,
just mainstream Craig.
So, mainstream Craig. Speaking of mainstream, we're going to pay some bills with some mainstream sponsors. We will be back right after this.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.
Welcome back, everybody. Like, share, subscribe, drink, give a 5-star review, do all of the things that, everybody always tells you to do. We appreciate it. Helps us so
But
very much.
this week for the
especially
5-star
drinking part.
reviews,
Ooh,
when
yes.
you
Let's
leave
hear it.
them, leave your 5-star review. You can say bad things too if you want to. That's fine, as long as you have the 5-star review. But also answer this question: which sport or activity do you think that Craig, myself, and Kent are secretly good at? You tell us what you think we are good at in your 5-star reviews. 5 stars. Tell us what, Kent, myself, or Craig, or all three of us, what activity or sport you think that we would be secretly good at.
Keep in mind, I will break in half doing anything remotely athletic. So just keep that in mind. But I love.
All I gotta say is, like, if you do the big ski jump, you only need one shot. Break in half or not, you only need one chance.
That's true. That's true. Just takes one decent one, right? Cool. Isn't the very definition of being good at something not breaking in half when you complete it?
I don't know.
Whatever.
As Derek Rose.
That's fine. Yeah. Leighton Y44 asks, what's your biggest pet peeve when hearing other people talk about sports? For example, mine is when people use rings to justify GOAT status. Maddie, what do you have one that jumps out?
No. I'm trying to think. I struggle to listen to a lot of like mainstream sports content because so much of it's just about getting off hot takes. So I just kind of usually don't. I find it extremely annoying. Like in season for the NFL, it's kind of okay because you're also getting news updates on stuff that you maybe didn't get to see or didn't get to look into. But especially in the off season of sports, I don't need the hot takes just to get hot takes off. So like ESPN, NFL Network, any of those shows just do nothing for me because like you're creating narratives to argue about, just kind of to create narratives. That just does. It's a big pet peeve of mine. It means I don't watch any of them. So like it's kind of like all mainstream media is the pet peeve.
Yeah. Gosh, this is going to be really football nerdy. Simplifying coverages down to like the most basic thing. I get that, it happens. Like you can't like get super involved in coverages. They're hard to define. That's why people don't like to. But insisting that, certain defensive coordinators or things like that are so locked in that they're only doing one thing, I think is the one that really gets me. Like at times, like I know that we've talked about how Steve Spagnuolo played a ton of static cover 2 last year, which was out of the norm for him, certainly. But that got translated sometimes when I'm having conversations with people or when we're following up. It's like, well, you said that they only played cover 2. No. I said they played a lot of cover 2. It's very easy to simplify things down to they only do X, they only do Y, and they only do Z. And it happens with coverage the most because it is so complex, to try and sort all of that stuff out. So from that perspective, listening to people talk about coverages and not trying, it's fine being vague. They play a lot of cover 3. They play a lot of cover 2. They play these types of match coverages. I'm fine with that. It's when it's definitive where, a team that only plays this type of cover 2, a team that only plays man coverage, a team that nobody plays only one singular type of coverage. Nobody runs only one singular type of thing. So it becomes very reductive and all of that. And so it gets people kind of into a mindset where, well, here's the easy way to beat it. Just run cover 2 beaters all day and it's done. It's like, no, they're going to shift. It's going to change. It's not as simple as just lining up and being like, I know what they're going to be in all the time, because any defensive coordinator that did that would get run out of the league after about 4 games and giving up, 300 points. So that's one of those that just kind of gives my goat a little.
I got one more.
Okay, go for it.
PFF. I think that's self-explanatory. We can move on.
Okay. Yeah. we don't need to dwell on Maddie and PFF here. All right. Casey from KC asks, will this defense will they be better? And how do you predict they will play throughout the season? I will say this. I think that last year's defense was maybe viewed in a light that they weren't good, or they fell below Steve Spagnuolo's normal standards, which you can look at a lot of different metrics and see how that's all going. With what he was given and the types of players that he was given, I think he did an exceptional job. Like, I think they performed above expectations there. I do think that they're going to be significantly better this year because it's a lot of the same guys. They're adding a lot. The places that they're adding things are on the pass rush, on the defensive line with a lot of young players, high potential, high chance of being like game breaker, quote unquote, type players. So, from that regard, I do think that this defense will be better this year. And I think they're going to be better from the start, too. Like, I don't think it's going to be a ramp up period. I think they're going to start pretty hot and maybe grow into the role a little bit more.
Yeah, I think they'll hit the ground running a little bit faster. I don't. We'll see by the end of the year. I have no reason to think they'll be worse than last year. Like obviously, if Charles Omenihu isn't what we think, and the rookie DBs have a sophomore slump, then maybe. So like that's why I can't answer the end of the year. But I feel like they should be more cohesive to start the year. I think Trent McDuffie has been gone. People appreciated how good he was beyond Chiefs fans, but I think it's been undersold how good he was because you also dealt with two rookie cornerbacks who had just absolutely statistically stellar years, whereas McDuffie didn't put up the same stats, but was probably equally as good. I think having him all year, if he's not injured this year, helps. So I think they'll be better to start the year. They should be better by the end of the year, but we kind of got to see how everybody kind of gels together and develops going forward. But like, there's no reason they won't be worse.
All right, Steve Gray asks, what is your favorite and least favorite offseason move so far? Maddie, I'll let you start this one.
Oh gosh, I wasn't prepared for this. I don't prepare for these things. Okay, signing Charles Omenihu, I think, is my favorite because I think he's kind of on the cusp of being a breakout guy. I think when I went back and watched him, there's just a lot there. There's so much there for what he can do, what he can be, the potential that is there. He's understanding how to rush with his athletic profile, with his move set, and kind of everyone that goes to San Francisco learns there, then leaves is still really good, if not getting better. I trust Joe Cullen, so he's my top pick. What's your favorite move?
My favorite move this offseason, man. Yeah. I think even in retrospect here, I think it's going to be Felix Anudike-Uzomah, just because I think that ceiling is so high. I know that like there's room to grow. I don't know that it's going to be a year one contribution here. I just get it. I see where it can go, and projecting it into the future there and saying, hey, this guy has the chance to truly be a DE1 style player, which is what we've been clamoring for. Again, if he hits a ceiling, and that's hard to do, but I think if he hits that ceiling, DE1, from that regard, maybe not in the moment, maybe not even when we were rewatching some of the stuff, the more I think back on it, the more runway that I see that they've got in this defensive end room. I think it's Felix Anudike-Uzomah.
Okay. I get that. I almost put Rashee Rice for just his ability in the weight room down, but I don't know if that counts.
Yeah.
My least favorite move. Okay. It's not a specific player. It's the entire situation of how they've handled left tackle. Getting Jawaan Taylor and then selling us on the idea that he might play left tackle. And I think even if you reading between the lines, they thought he was going to play left tackle or at least have a chance to. Then they end up signing Donovan Smith, and that somehow is enough to stop him from even getting a chance to play left tackle when they start to go through minicamp. Yes, I understand it's not completely closed yet, but it's pretty close. And so just the way they've handled that situation is confusing to me. I think if Donovan Smith reverts back to his 2018, 2019, 2020, 2017 form, you're not getting a good left tackle. You're getting an average left tackle at best for a quarterback who in some ways makes it difficult for his offensive tackle. So I don't know. I just don't like how they've handled the left tackle situation. I think they should have given Jawaan Taylor a little bit more of a fair shake. They should have, maybe gone with getting some more competition for the right tackle spot, not just the left tackle spot. So that way they could have a little bit more flexibility. We'll see what training camp brings. Maybe Jawaan Taylor does move over, and this is silly, but like right now it seems kind of pigeonholed to a rookie who hasn't played left tackle in like 2 years and Donovan Smith. And I just don't know if I feel great about that.
Yeah, and as much as I want to put like Donovan Smith as my least favorite move, like I can't, because at the very worst case, he's left tackle depth. And like I like that. I really like that move. I don't love him being the starter, but like I think they're giving Wanya Morris a chance to compete a little bit. We'll see how it actually works out here. So I can't say that that's my least favorite move. So I don't know that I have maybe letting a Frank Clark go for what he did. They certainly weren't going to pay what the Denver Broncos paid Frank Clark there. I just think the off-field stuff in a year that you are pivoting and trying to really get young at the defensive end room. I think this might have been the most important year, arguably, because they have so many young guys in the room there. What he did and what he helped with George Karlaftis, Mike Dana, these guys is so, I know we state it all the time, but it's generally understated. So from that standpoint, it's hard to look at that move and say, man, they let Frank go. I know all the reasons why, and I don't disagree with any of them, and I'm not even saying that they should have paid it, but that was my least favorite because I think that what he adds to the room is worth more than the on-field production and the sort of stuff that they are going to get from anybody else in that perspective. So, yeah.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.
All right, next question is coming from Snetram Nora. It's a very difficult one for me. I'm sorry.
I was just waiting for you to pronounce that.
Listen, I got close, right? Correct me in 21 questions in that channel, Snetram Nora. All right. Any chance we see Leo Chanel more as a pass rusher going forward? Seems to be way underutilized. I know this one comes up a lot as far as Leo and everything like that. I get it. Dude's bursty. I totally understand why people see him and the way that he blitzes, the kind of heavy hands that he has. I understand the desire for that. Problem is you line him up as a pass rusher, not in the base, which is what people are thinking of when they're seeing this. They're thinking, oh, yeah, you get into the dime, use Leo more as a designated pass rusher. You got him coming off of the edge. It's going to lack some pass rush moves. He's going to lack some of the ability to do some of the things that even these young guys, even a BJ Thompson or a Felix Anudike-Uzomah are doing. You want to tell me that you're going to line him up over the A gap? And won't he in a 3-down look with him, standing and floating around? I am on board with that. Steve Spagnuolo does that. That's something that he did with Reggie Ragland. It's something that he's done with Willie Gay, and he's done it a little bit with Leo Chanel. Yes, that's fine. But you're talking about maybe 11 snaps a year. It's not something that's going to be significant. He uses it against certain quarterbacks, specifically mobile ones that Leo, Willie, Reggie, whoever it would be, would have a chance to corral and bring him down. Dorian O'Daniel, don't want to forget him as well. I've got Chiefs fans screaming at their radios right now because that's what he did. But lining him up on the edge and saying, okay, go win, go beat this offensive tackle. It's just going to lack some of the nuance necessary in order to do that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say too many negative things about Leo Chanel here, but he's not a pass rusher like that. He's not Micah Parsons. The shorter arms, a boxier build, I understand the 3-cone time was good, but watch him run. He's not the most flexible guy. He's not the most fluid guy. It's just not his game. His game is not lining up on the edge and winning as a pure pass rusher like that. He's a very good blitzer. He's very good being able to run in a straight line through a half of a blocker, right? Through a shoulder of a guard, the shoulder of a center. He's not really working up the edge or beating across the face of an offensive lineman. That's just not his game. I think he's a good blitz threat. I don't think he's a true pass rusher, and I don't think we'll see that much more of him I don't think you'll see him blitz that much more than he did last year, to be frank, percentage-wise.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And he's effective as a blitzer. Let him be effective in that role. Let him do his thing. It's fine. It doesn't need to be ramped up because they got plenty of other guys that can also blitz really, really well. All right, Gooby35, if you could time travel to one sports moment in history and be on the field/court to witness it, what moment would it be? I'm going to clarify here because Mike Denny asked, is this backwards only? And Groovy said, I'm leaving it open for Matty-esque interpretation. I am not. It is backwards only. You can't
What?
you can't go forward
Blasphemy.
to witness the 10th straight Super Bowl. That I know exactly where
That's
you would
not
go
what
with
I
this.
was doing. I was going forward to witness Patrick Mahomes' final game where he throws the touchdown pass, and then I was going to make sure I got the football. I'd give it back. So
you inserted it yourself.
I would give it back, and then they would compensate me greatly because they would be appreciative, but I would be at that final game and I would get the football.
I mean, I understand that you would be so kind as to give Travis the football back after he scored that touchdown at age 56. However, but
Mahomes has got like at least a decade after Travis.
No, that's what I'm saying. Travis is just going to keep playing. He's never quitting, buddy. Ever. The man's just going to keep playing. He's going to have a walker, and he's still going to be doing the little dream shake out in the open field, making linebackers miss. One sports moment in history, be on the field court to witness it. Man, this one's tough. I got a few of them. Trying to narrow it down. Maddie, do you have one that just immediately jumps to mind?
I do, and it's
okay.
Not
go for it.
Even football or Chiefs related. I would be at Game 7 of the Cavs Warriors finals, where the Cavs came back down from 3-1. This is a game that was close the entire time. You're watching LeBron, you're watching Steph, you're going back and forth. You have two guys vying to be on some people's, somewhere on their greatest of all time top 10s. You have a 3-1 series lead potentially being blown. You have guys playing at the top of their game. I think getting to be courtside for that would be an absolutely wild experience. If I'm limited to just the past and not the future, then I think that's where I'm going.
I'm gonna go October 16th, 2004.
God, I was barely born.
You sure you were, buddy. Being in the stadium, it doesn't even have to be on the field. It can be in the stadium because it was at home. Arsenal completes the Invincibles run. Went an entire season without losing a game. An incredible feat. Like it just doesn't happen. You play 49 matches and you don't lose in a season. Just an absolute top-notch performance. The 2004 Invincibles team. I love soccer before then, but like that was the one that took me. I was kind of an Arsenal fan as well, and that was the one that kind of took the fandom like up super duper high there. So that's a fun one for me. All right. Grayson asks, who leads the team in interceptions, Maddie?
Watts Island, baby.
Ooh, you think so? You think it's going to be Watson? I mean,
I think he's a playmaker. I think he's a playmaker. I love Trent McDuffie. I think Trent McDuffie's an excellent corner. I don't know if I'd classify him as a playmaker. I don't know if I'd classify Brian Cook or Justin Reed as playmakers. Don't get me wrong. Those guys have produced interceptions and turnovers throughout their career, but I don't know if I would classify them as playmakers. Joshua Williams, I don't know if I classify him as a playmaker. Jalen Watson, playmaker, 100% playmaker.
Yeah, he is. Realistically, and you know what? Here's the funny thing. If Drew Tranquill wasn't on this roster, I might say Willie Gay. I know we kind of went through this last year. I believe you even predicted Willie Gay.
You did. Yes, that was my pick.
Year. Yeah, and he got damn close. Like there was a lot of he dropped into a lot of zones. He dropped into a lot of throwing lanes and interrupted a lot of passes there. I could see that being the case, but with Drew Tranquill out there, I think that there's going to be a lot more dime reps lost and maybe even some sub-package reps lost. So it remains to be seen how the linebacker is going to shake out. I'm going to go Justin Reed just to be different than you. I do think that his grasp of the offense and the general secondary's grasp of the offense, the defense, and the general secondary's grasp of the defense is going to change the way that they play a little bit more. And we know that Steve Spagnuolo likes to use that safety position to try and drop and insert and take away throwing lanes and kind of catch quarterbacks off guard. He's been very good at it. It's not just Tyrann Mathieu. He did it with Landon Collins as well. I can see Justin Reed slotting into that role as well and being a guy that intercepts a lot of passes and disrupts a lot of stuff in the throwing lane. So I could see that. So, all right. Ever thus to deadbeats says favorite petty Mahomes trash talk. I mean, I can let you go first, Matt.
Like, right, I
You
need
list?
a collage of these.
Oh, man.
And like it sucks because it's recency bias, but like I don't know, the L with the 2 rings is pretty nice.
The 2 rings is it, man. Like because like
counting to 10 is pretty sick though.
It's pretty sick. Yes, but we're
on
now
the field.
I know. We're now in phase 2. And I think that matters a lot because a lot of these quarterbacks, when they graduate into phase 2, it's okay. So when you get in the next one, when you finding the success, if you haven't had the first one, when are you translating into that? So getting that second ring has cemented him. Like it's over. You can't argue with it anymore, which makes Jamar Chase saying Pat which again, sticking up for your quarterback. I understand it. Listen, if we were Bengals fans and one of our wide receivers said that, we'd be like, yeah, that's right. He loves his quarterback. And that's the end of it. That's where it would be. However, when you get to that level, you need to find every little inkling of competitive advantage and trying to make sure that you keep that going. Jordan did this all the time. Go watch The Last Dance. Him burying plumbers who talked a little bit of trash. Just this much.
Mahomes isn't Jordan.
I know, but like that competitive drive, creating that narrative. That's what I'm talking about there. Yeah. And coming out, putting both rings on and saying, that's who. Tweeting that out. When we see Bobby Stroop tweet stuff and we go, oh, I wonder if that's how Pat must be angry. Pat must be doing all of that. And then, you don't really hear anything or something like that. Bobby tweeting out, thank you, after Jamar Chase post that. And I was like, okay, well, we'll see what happens for it. And almost immediately tweeting out, that's who. Super petty. Love it. That's my quarterback. And that's the one. Like, man, if you can't give the man props after winning 2 and having the start to his career that he's had, it's like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, even Joe Burrow that does not like Pat. Like, I mean, let's be clear here. That man does not like him. Is still sitting here going, yeah, man, like that's the best quarterback right now. Like he is. He just is until I take it from him. Which that's
so
fine.
I don't know if this is petty, but this might be my favorite thing Mahomes has ever done, like non-football play related. The throw against Tampa Bay this past season in the thing, and then just the casual walk-off and telling them that I'm like that might be I tweeted out, it's the single coldest, most disrespectful thing I have ever seen. And if he in any way, shape, or form meant that as disrespect, then I think it definitely counts as petty Mahomes. And then that's the number one for me. It was the most casual. I'm like that. This is just a normal, everyday walk in the park, normal Sunday for me at the office kind of feeling. Everything about it was perfect. If that was on purpose, if he purposely said that because he's like, nope, this is just what I do. You guys pissed me off after all your trash talk. I'm looking at you, Devin White, after your Super Bowl. Then, okay, that's the answer. I will accept nothing else. The rings are great, but I would accept nothing else. And if that was on purpose to make them feel bad, because that was just one of the single best things I have ever seen a football player ever do.
I will say this. It's not just Patrick. Sorry. It's not just Patrick. Favorite petty Andy Reid moments. Listen, the ring around the rosy that they clearly were just, oh no, it is what it is. Directly towards the Raiders who circled Arrowhead. Like that's super fun and petty. And another one that we know of and that we've heard tale of is Andy Reid running Spider to Y Banana against John Gruden just to troll his ass. Like I love
But this is the thing, like And it's the thing, I think Andy's a fun guy. I don't think he
Fun.
trolls that much. I don't think he's petty.
I don't
really
think
think
so
he is.
either.
I think
Which is why when it comes
something that
out,
happened
whew.
pissed him off though for those. I agree. He's not petty. He's not like Mahomes is. Like, like he is, and that's fine. I love it. It's great. It's perfect. Andy isn't. And so the fact that he brought those up, that is pretty good.
Yeah. The other one with Andy, I know that we're going down a big rabbit hole here, but the other one with Andy, do you remember when it was Jalen Ramsey was just top of his game, running his mouth all the time with the Jaguars? Like, this is before that trade to the Rams. The Chiefs were playing the Jaguars, and there's a behind-the-scenes video of Andy kind of standing on the sidelines, and Jalen Ramsey's chirping, like, towards the Chiefs sideline, and Andy goes, "Hey, 5. Watch this." And Tyreek, as soon as he releases off the line, Andy goes, "See ya," and turns his back, and it's a completion. Like, he knew it. He knew it. And it's just, it's funny to see that come out on occasion, and it has to be provoked. Has to be. So anyway, yeah. Apes of Spades asks, Big Red draws up a touchdown play for one of the big boys every year. Which O-line or D lineman is going to catch or throw a touchdown pass this year, Maddie?
I guess Jawan Taylor. Like, I don't have one that's jumping out to me. Like, there's no Colin Saunders. Like, I know Chris Jones wants it, but like Chris Jones doesn't make a ton of sense as an offensive piece, right? He's not quite big enough.
It happened already, right?
He doesn't really have leverage. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not an offensive piece. So it's you're looking at an offensive tackle for the most part. Maybe whoever's your sixth tackle, but I don't want to see Lucas Niang out in a route. So like, maybe Jawan Taylor, maybe he tries to leak out one. And we saw Andrew Wiley try to leak out in the Super Bowl. So like, that's the angle I'm kind of going for here.
I get it. I actually like that one quite a bit. I'm trying to think of what defensive lineman would quickly endear himself to Andy Reid, and it didn't take me long. It's Keandre Coburn. Keandre Coburn is, yeah. Listen, there's lots of guys that are going to endear themselves to Andy, but Coburn just seems like that guy that on the sideline is saying to Andy Reid, it's like, "Hey, coach, I can catch passes, right?" Like, it feels like there's going to be a little bit of that kind of floating around. And Andy likes getting his big boys the ball. I mean, listen, they've got the Colin Saunders playbook, obviously. It's there. Keandre is not necessarily the kind of athlete that Colin was, but put him out there. Let's see what happens. I'm in. I'm completely in. Still salty about that, by the way. Still salty. Mike Denny again here asks, what wrinkle on the offense or defense this year would make you the most excited on defense? I just got done talking about it. Playing more exotic and match coverages, playing more things that are going to rotate guys into throwing lanes that maybe the quarterback's not expecting as much, not having to be as basic with some of the young cornerbacks. I understand exactly why they did what they did, but Steve Spagnuolo is a wonderful offense or defensive mind when it comes to approaching coverages and blitz packages. He gets quarterbacks' eyes trained in specific spots and learns tendencies for these guys as where they want to go hot, where they feel most comfortable, and rotates guys into those positions. He is exceptional at finding those weaknesses, finding those little advantages. And throughout last year, we didn't see it in the same way. So that would be the one that I would get most excited about, because as much as I liked what they brought to the defense last year, there's so much room to grow just from a schematic standpoint. So I would be crazy excited if that was the case.
Mine's a lot more basic. Get me some contested catches up the sideline on some go routes, back shoulders, let guys go up and fight for the ball. Keep Justin Ross, keep Rashee Rice, and just let these guys go fight for the ball up the sideline. I think the Chiefs are going to run into an issue where teams try to play them in man-to-man coverage and go one-on-one with a lot of wide receivers because they're not afraid of the speed. And I don't think they have an answer for the lack of speed. What they do have, though, are two young players in Ross and Rashee Rice, unproven in the NFL, but two guys who kind of made their way in college by winning at the catch point on the vertical route tree. give them more chances. Give them some chances that you didn't give some of your shorter wide receivers in years past, because I do think the Chiefs need a little bit of a vertical element. They don't have the guy to take it off. I would much rather see 50-50 throws to those two guys than Justin Watson trot out there and run some kind of play action deep route that works 3 out of 97 times on the year.
All right, this is going to be our last one of the day here. B. Higgs says, rank the AFC contenders in order of how they will be remembered for competing against the Chiefs dynasty. I'm going to start this, Maddie, because
do you have who are the contenders?
Well, I feel like, okay, that's why I'll start. I'll kind of go through some of them. Listen, as much as we want to just kind of dismiss the Tom Brady New England Patriots because it was barely parts of this Chiefs dynasty,
1 year.
I kind of gotta throw them in, like I do, and
scared to compete.
Scared to compete. Yeah, bailed on it quick. I would also, and it's hard. I realize that I'm kind of
one a coin flip and dipped
things here. Yeah, but I kind of lump in those Brady Bucks as well into that group. I know that the correlation there is Brady, but because of the way it happened, because it was the playoffs, because of those sorts of games, I'm kind of lumping in the Brady Bucks and Patriots together. They're not the ones that are going to be, kind of the top, but they're in the echelon. These Josh Allen Buffalo Bills are below that team. They are for me. Now, that's a better football team, in my opinion, even though one of those teams won a Super Bowl. I think the Buffalo Bills are a better football team, but the way that you remember all those games, you're not going to remember it for, how they competed against the Chiefs. You're going to remember it as, oh, Chiefs came out on top on all those games. Cool. That's fun. Right now it's the Bengals, and it's because sure, we can call them the Froggles, but it's because not only did they beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game to go on to a Super Bowl, but they also gave them a hell of a game the next year. Like a hell of a game, and gave them 2 losses in the regular season in that stint as well. I don't weight the regular season in the same way, but that's it. Like they're the one team right now that is challenging routinely for the crown amongst the Chiefs. And yes, Brady was there. Brady ends up with 2 rings after beating the Chiefs. But to me, because it was 2 different teams, that's number 2 as a group. And the Cincinnati Bengals are the one that is the number 1 team right now during this quote unquote dynasty to really challenge the Chiefs.
Okay. Going top 3, it seems like. Chargers number 3. And okay. I know that might be a little bit of a wild card because, can't even win a playoff game. But I'm putting the Chargers at 3 because there's a lot of hype there every year. They always play the Chiefs close. They beat them in the regular season some. I know they haven't matched up in the playoffs, but the Chiefs still play them every single year. I mean, that counts. There's a chance that they don't play the Froggles, or the Bills, or the Patriots, or whoever in a single season. They're always going to play the Chargers twice. So I will take the Chargers at 3. I'll do the Bills at 2, and I think they're better than the Bengals, than the Froggles are, but they haven't beat the Chiefs when it matters. They just simply haven't. And really what separates it, there seems to be clear respect between the Bills and the Chiefs. They clearly seem to respect each other. There's not that much trash talk. There's a little bit, don't get me wrong. The Bills were talking trash in the regular season after some wins. There's trash talk, but it seems to be very mild compared to what the Froggles and the Chiefs have, where it's very much back and forth. The Froggles think they're 2 regular season wins, and that 1 playoff win matters so much more. Like there's a lot there. There's a lot of heat outside of the actual 60 minutes that they're playing the football game. So I think that has to be 1 right now. I don't even think there's, a competitor for it. The Patriots fell off quick. The Ravens are lurking there, but same thing. They haven't played the Chiefs in the playoffs.
Right.
And so does it really matter? They haven't been that close. So the Chiefs kind of have played the same couple teams, and those are who they are. So the Froggles got to be 1 for actually getting the win in the AFC Championship game, getting some wins in the regular season, but then also there's trash talk. There's, they 2 teams dislike each other. I don't think the Bills and the Chiefs dislike each other. I really don't. I think that everyone's cool. They know they're good teams. It is what it is. So like that's got to be 2 because they're always there. I did the Chargers 3 instead of the Patriots. I can see the Doug Peterson-led Jacksonville Jaguars, though, coming in hot. I could see the Jags creeping in here in the future.
I like future casting that. Yeah.
I could see them taking over the Chargers role because they're, going to be in the playoffs and be good. I could see them pushing the Bills. I think this is the Bills' last year to be here. I think Josh Allen's great. I think that team, if they lose it again this year with the Chiefs or the Bengals in the playoffs, I don't know how you come back from it. I don't know where you go from there. So, like, the Bills might have already peaked. If they don't win this year, they've peaked. This is their final year. This is the desperation heave. So, like, they have a chance to fall off. I think there's a route for the Jaguars led by, that's right, Jaguars. Yell at me, British people. Yell at me. I think there's a chance for them to come up in here and push for the 3 or 2 seed and the rival for the Chiefs going forward.
Yell at me. Yell at me, British people is
they get so offended by Jaguars, and that's how everybody in the Midwest has ever said that word. Anybody from anywhere in the Midwest has said it Jaguars, and they want to say Jaguars.
I'll throw the Dolphins in. I would throw the Jets in, but I'm not going to throw the Jets in because Aaron Rodgers is consumed by the way that words are spelled right now. That's going to do it for 21 questions for Maddie Lane. I am Craig Stout. Thank you so much for listening. Be kind to each other, and we will catch you later.
Thanks for watching this production of KC Sports Network, the fastest growing sports media network in Kansas City. Check out these videos that feature our team of more than 15 former players, insiders, and analysts bringing you the best Chiefs coverage you can find. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.